it's incredible the journey you've been on, and so much of it obviously comes back to your, the experiences you've had in ECW. And I was in Philadelphia for WrestleMania 40. It was my first live WrestleMania, and I felt so blessed to be there for Paul Heyman's Hall of Fame induction speech. It gave me literal goosebumps, and it's the closest I'll ever get to kind of a live, authentic ECW experience.
That was the first time I think people were able to see Paul Heyman at his best. That was Paul Heyman on a regular basis when you saw him do his speech. That's what we dealt with when we were in ECW. Nobody ever got a chance to see that. And I don't know if Vince was still in power at the time. Would we have been able to do that? I don't think so. No. So kudos to Hunter, and letting Paul Heyman run crazy during that speech, and it was an excellent speech on top of that.
It was amazing. A lot of F-bombs, but also a beautiful speech, very heartfelt, thanked a lot of people, obviously dedicated it to his children. I mean, what can you tell me about Paul in terms of how instrumental he was to your life and your character development?
Well, Paul was the one that discovered D-Von. In terms of Tommy Dreamer and Taz were the one that gave the okay to Paul when I was at the ECW training facility trying out. And, they gave the okay, the thumbs up. So when I met Paul at the time in the wrestling school, I was going under the name of A-Train. It was a name that was given. There was no rhyme or reason why that name was given. It was just something to give me. And, it flowed with me. So when I got to the ECW studio and I got to meet Paul Heyman for the first time, I said, so what are you going to call me? And he goes, what's your name? I said, what do you mean, what's my name? Like, I thought, I was like, did you forget my name? And he's like, what's your name? I go, D-Von. He goes, how about D-Von? And I just went, D-Von. He's like, yeah, D-Von Dudley. And I just went, okay, I'm not going to tell him no, And he goes, what's your character as A-Train? And I had the same thing I told you. There was no rhyme or reason to give me that character. It was just Johnny Rodz just said, okay, I'm going to call you A-Train because you remind us of a kid that was here before you that was named A-Train. So we're going to call you A-Train. And I told him that. He was like, all right. He was like, let me ask you a question. Tell me your background. I told him my background about my parents and everything. And he says, okay. He goes, what's your favorite movie? I said, my favorite movie. He goes, yeah, what's your favorite movie? I said, Rocky 3. He goes, why Rocky 3? He goes, Rocky Balboa, Sylvester Stallone. I go, no, Mr. T. And he goes, really? I go, yeah. I was like, I used to do Mr. T impressions all the time. I said, it got to the point where I was very good at it. Now, if you tell somebody like Paul Heyman that you're good at doing an impression, you better do it right. And he put me on the spot. He goes, let me see you do Mr. T. And when I did it for him, he was shocked. He was like, wow. He was like, you sound just like Mr. T. I said, I've been studying him my whole life, the whole character. He goes, have you ever seen Pulp Fiction? And I said, no. He's like, with John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson. And I said, no, I haven't. He goes, I want you to go home. It's on video. I want you to go home and I want you to take a look at Pulp Fiction and then call me. Let me know what you think. I want you to look at the character from Samuel L. Jackson. I said, okay. So I went home, looked at it, and knew it because, the Bible verse, the path of the righteous man, and, that's been in my family for a long time. So I knew the scripture. And I called Paul Heyman back and I said, I love the movie. I was like, why did you want me to specifically watch Samuel L. Jackson? He goes, because that's going to be your character. He goes, not only are you going to be Mr. T, but you're going to be Samuel L. Jackson, Jules, in Pulp Fiction. He goes, let me ask you a question. Being that you are a pastor's son, can you quote scriptures if need be? I said, absolutely, I can. He goes, give me one right at the top of the head. And I gave him one. He was like, give me another one. It was like one after the other. He goes, okay, so got it. And it got to the point where he says, I want you to go home and really study that character. And I want you to start using the word testify. And I said, okay, not a problem. And I said, when do you want me to use testify? He goes, after everything you say, any promo you get, use the word testify. He goes, I don't care if it doesn't make sense when you put it. You just use the word testify. And that's how D-Von Dudley was born.